Better a death with honor than a life with shame. These adult-oriented Aesop's fables are no joke. The kids aren't alright with these sorts of lessons. This week, the Falconer and the Partridge. Let's get going with episode 13 of Deconstructing Aesop's Fables. A lighthearted look at Aesop's fables and what they mean in today's world. Let's deconstruct each fable to find out who is learning the lesson and what really the lesson is to be learned. The Falconer and the Partridge. A partridge being taken in the net of a falconer begged hard of the man to be set free, and promised if he were let go to decoy other partridges into the net. "No," replied the falconer, "I did not mean to spare you, but if I had, your words would now have condemned you. The scoundrel who, to save himself, offers to betray his friends deserves worse than death. Better a death with honor than a life with shame." The lesson here is pretty clear. Don't snitch on your friends, right? Don't snitch on anybody. Don't sell anybody out. Don't be a Benedict Arnold. And that is not how Eggs Benedict got named. It's my favorite old joke. Reminds me of the bat episode a little bit. The bat said he was a bird. The bat said he was a mouse. Listen to episode 8. There's another fable also where the bat, it describes what the family is. That was episode 8.5. So listen to all of them if you haven't listened to them. If you did, remember that the bat got in trouble for lying in one of them, and then he's a liar in another one. But in this case, the thing that really stands out to the falconer, who we'll get into his character in a couple minutes, is the fact that this partridge says, "Hey, I'll sell out my friends." What we don't know is if the partridge is lying just to get out of it, just like the bat did. The only thing I know about partridges is they've got a big family, and a lot of times they travel around on colorful buses. The falconer's hardcore. He catches this partridge, and then he says, "Like, I wasn't going to let you go regardless, but because you gave me some lame story as a treasoner, I'm going to definitely kill you." So maybe he's going to torture him also because he said a death isn't good enough. How do you know this partridge is actually going to go get his friends? What do you think? He's going to round his friends up? He's such a good navigator, he ended up in the net to begin with. So his friends are going to be like, "Yeah, Steve, I'm going to follow you into the lands where you decoy them into the net." I don't even understand how you can decoy someone into the net. The falconer's going to kill this bird either way. What's the lesson here? Have a better story? Don't make a mistake of saying something treasonous. You'll probably be okay. You're going to get killed anyway, but you might not get the extra little torture that the falconer's throwing in. Let's unpack what a falconer is a little bit. It's a person who uses a bird to hunt other birds. That's meta before meta was even popular. It's the hipster of meta hunting. First of all, the falconer isn't a cop. Who's he to say that somebody's selling somebody out? He might be just telling a story, just like the bat. "I'm a mouse, I'm a bird. I'll sell my friends out to be safe." He's just trying to live. He's going where the wind takes him, as that other one said. So as far as falconers go, Louis VIII is the most famous falconer. He had 300 bird arsenals, divided them up into 6 subcategories of flight. He had flight of the crow, flight of the heron, flight of the kite, flight of the river, and then flight of the partridge. So partridges were caught by falcons that were set out by falconers. In 1945, the ANFA was created to revive the sport with about 300 members, flaunting their falcons and hawks all about, hunting other lesser birds. So that's the sport. No law involved. This falconer's not a law enforcement agent. He's not sending these birds out to retrieve criminal birds. In my book, I don't really think that this Partridge is planning on selling anybody out. He just used a bad story. I'm not telling you should sell out your friends or anything. I'm just telling you can certainly lie to a falconer. A falconer is a metaphor for anybody that's out to kill you, basically. Like if you're the type of partridge that can create an intricate scheme to screw over your friends to get them to fly into a falconer's net, then you got your own problems. But it sounds like the falcon is the one grabbing him, so nobody's talking about the falcon. I suspect that the partridge would do his best to lie. Here's a story he could have told if he was going to get killed anyway. Have you ever seen the movie True Romance? One of the best movies ever made. There's a scene in it with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken, two of the best actors to ever exist, in my opinion, but there's a list out there, I'm sure, and they're both on it. They're sitting there having a conversation, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but Christopher Walken is basically the falconer, and Dennis Hopper knows that he's going to be killed, so the story that he tells is one of the best stories ever told in any movie ever. Look that up. It's a recommendation. Better a death with honor than a life of shame. Like the worst case that could probably happen to this partridge is they heard it through the grapevine that you said you were going to sell out your friends, and you say to them, hey man, I was just trying to get out of something. Again, have a better story so you don't have to explain that kind of nonsense to your friends. If I were to figure out what the lesson is, the falconer himself, there's no lessons for him. The partridge, have a better story. And don't run into the falconer's nest, because that falconer is not letting you go either way. When the falconer leaves for the day, there's a high probability that when he gets in his chariot or whatever he uses to travel, there's a huge flag flying on it that most likely misrepresents its true purpose. That's just an assumption that I have, but he seems like a flag flyer. I think all flags are offensive. I've been John Wilkins. This has been Deconstructing Aesop's Fables. Make sure you got a better story. Thanks for tuning in.
You got some thoughts in your head and you want to make yourself a podcast? Well, here at Anchor, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast. This here podcast is on 7 platforms. I don't know if there's more, but if there are, I'm sure Anchor's doing their best to get it out there. You can make money on your podcast. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.